Hey guys, Cody Wilson, the assistant coach, and I wanted to talk to you today about offensive lineman splits. O-line's kind of my baby, and this is a question that people ask me very often, and also that I see asked, on Twitter. Like last night, we had the Hog Football chat on Twitter, and then also on like different Facebook groups. I see this question all the time, and usually people give answers like, "Oh, 1 foot, 6 inches, 2 feet, 3 feet. Maybe they're like super wide and they go 5 feet. But my answer is like a blend of all of those. I believe in something called smart splits. And what a smart split is it's a way of getting your guys in the best position to make the block that they need to make while taking advantage of the defense. What we have to remember is defenses are bound by rules. So if I'm a 16-year-old sophomore defensive lineman and my coach told me to line up in a 5 technique outside of the tackle, I'm 16. I don't really think very much about how close he is to the guard. A 5 technique is outside of the tackle, so I'm going to line up outside the tackle. Doesn't matter if he's 6 inches away from his guard or if he's like even further and he's about 5 feet away from the guard. Now eventually, the coach should recognize that and tell that defensive lineman that he needs to adjust. But we're going to widen out until he doesn't let us widen out anymore. If he's going to stay outside of us and we want to keep him outside, we can widen up and keep him out there as much as we want to until he finally makes a decision. And one of the good things about that is even if a defense makes an adjustment, number one, they're not going to know exactly what play we're running. Yeah, there could be some tells, but there's no way for them to know exactly what play we're running because everybody changes on every play. So it's not even like uniformity of being everybody's 1 foot or everybody's 5 feet or 3 feet or whatever. We do use a base starting point of 2 feet, by the way. Sorry. The other thing, though, is that we have defensive players thinking about this. If their coach tells them, hey, if he gets, so far wide, then you need to line up inside of him. Well, then that's something else that guy's thinking of instead of the snap count, instead of what the play is, instead of what his job is, all that kind of stuff. So that helps us out. So up here I've got 2 examples ready to go, and we're just going to use zone. That's a really common play that most people use, and with so many spread teams we have, I thought that'd be a good idea. So up here on the top, we've got zone to the right. Well, versus this 4-2 front, what we would like is, personally, I would rather run this to the shade, but we'll see that down here. But if we were running this to the 3-5 side with the 3 technique and the 5 right here, what we'd want to do with the guard and the tackle is we're running this zone like tight. Okay, we're going to say we're running this tight zone in the A gap. If you run it wider, then this stuff changes a little bit. But I like to run tight zone in the A gap. So if that's the case, I just need to get those 2 guys further away from the play. And they're already lined up outside of me. If I'm that guard or that tackle, they're already lined up outside of me. So essentially my job is to not let them get inside of me and to get them away from the ball carrier. So I can get these wider splits. You can see they're wider here than right here. I can get these wider splits and I can go ahead and get my base block right here. However it is that you like to accomplish that, you can get those base blocks by getting them wider. So now my job is just don't get beat inside. Even if they rush and get around you the long way here, because I've gotten a wider split here and here, well, this defensive end is that much further away from the ball carrier. On the back side with the guard in the center, they're going to have to do a combo block, so they want to be closer together. So we can get our combo block right here, and they can be closer. So if we're starting from maybe a 2-foot split, I'm going to tell these guys over here to get out at least 3 feet and then get as wide as you want. And I've had some smart tackles who trusted me on this, and they've gotten as wide as 5+ feet before. On this, and they've done this in different areas. They've done it on the backside too, because on the backside, if you think about it, this is my read man in most zone read concepts, unless you're doing like an RPO and you're locking on and reading the linebacker. Well, this is my read man. Defenses are getting good, and we're getting so many good hybrid type players at these positions that they muddy up the read for the quarterback. Well, is he coming down the line? Is he upfield? Well, I can take away some of that by getting him further from the play. Now, that helps mostly when it's a give on the inside. On a keep, that doesn't help as much. But I can also make the read clearer by giving this extra room. So it not only moves my my defensive end further away from where we're trying to run the ball, it also gives my offensive tackle room to move. Okay, because if this defensive end's good, he's going to get his hands on me. He's going to come off the ball and he's going to strike and get me maybe in the armpit, in the shoulder. Maybe he's going to get me via the neck and the shoulder, or maybe just on the breastplate, and he's going to try to push me back. And when he does that, that's going to tighten up this space right here, and I might run into my guard if I don't have a very big split. But by getting this bigger split, it gives me room. Even if I get jacked up a little bit, I've got room to duck and dip my shoulder to get up to this linebacker. When I say duck and rip, if that defensive end is trying to get his hands on me, I can duck my shoulder and try to miss that, and I can rip by getting to my linebacker to help clear up the read, because we don't want too much contact right here to make this read messed up. So that's an example of running zone to the right. And here would be an example of running zone to the left. So the same idea, starting on the play side. If we're running zone in here, it's either going to bounce here, or most likely in this case, it's going to cut back to the back side. Well, this defensive end, he's lining up outside my tackle. The only thing I need to do is keep him outside. That's my job. Keep him outside. Real simple. Keep him outside. So if I might have a normal 2-foot split, widen up to at least 3. Try to get your guys wider and wider and wider. And what I would do on this, just a quick coaching point of how you get this done, is at practice, I would tell them to exaggerate it. And now it's going to irritate your head coach and probably your offensive coordinator, because they might get obnoxious splits at practice, but you want them to get the obnoxious split in practice, so that in games, you know that they're getting an appropriate split. It's the same thing like in the weight room when you tell them, over-exaggerate it on your squat and get deep. Well, you're telling them to do that, but what's actually going to happen is they're only going to get parallel because they all think they're going lower. Well, they all think they're getting super wide, and if you make them get super wide at practice, then in the games, they think they're super wide, and they're probably just wide enough to make it work. Very rarely do you tell them get a wide split and they overdo it, because they're all scared about that. And that's, whether that's right, wrong, or indifferent, that's what happens. They get scared. So anyway, we're going to keep this guy outside. Makes my block easier. I don't even have to maintain my block as long doing this. So this is even good, not for you might be thinking, you got to be a boss to be out there and be by yourself and to hold that block. Well, I'm so much further away. If I just get a piece of him and he whoops my butt and tries to run around, well, he's got so far to go that I've really helped myself. So this is good. It can be good if you have a good individual player there, but it can also be good if they're a little bit weaker of a player just by space. Just like we do that in the spread offense, talking about using space, we can use space in the box by manipulating the box in our splits. Here we're running to the nose. We'd like to be tighter right here because we got a combo. So again, base out of a 2-foot split, I would tell them probably tighten it down to 1.5-foot split. I don't really like getting a lot tighter than that in most situations, but you could tighten it down to 1.5. If they want to get a little tighter, they can, but we just need to make sure that we're able to accomplish what we need, however it is that you teach the double team. On the back side, same thing. There's just one slight difference here. I want to widen up this tackle because, like we said, this ball might cut back here. So I'm going to get my guard to get a wider split, just like he is when we run zone to the right. Only difference being is because now these two guys are comboing. The offensive tackle needs to be closer to my guard so that they can accomplish this. So it looks almost exactly the same. So you tell me, can you tell if you're a linebacker, let's say, or a defensive lineman, are you going to be able to tell, especially in a tempo offense, the difference between zone to the left and zone to the right? just by this guy right here. In like 5 or 10 seconds, we line up before we run the next play. We've got the play called in. We line up. You see everybody get set. You make a call as a defensive linebacker or something, a strength call, and then you're looking. Or do you think you're really going to see that? No. And here's the other good thing about that is when you run other plays, they're going to look pretty similar as well. So like if we just think about it like this, like these two guys will be tight and he'll be wide when we run counter. Okay, we run counter. Okay, I want to be able to double team down to a backside linebacker. I want to give myself room here for the same reason on the backside of zone. I want to give myself room so that I don't get crushed into my guard by this end when he squeezes me to block down on the linebacker going to the backside linebacker. The only difference, these two guys might get a little bit closer because we're pulling. So they might be more at the normal split or maybe even tightened up just a hair so that we can pull, get a kick out, and we can pull and we can get pulled through. But again, you've still got the same type split right here like we were just talking about on the front side of zone and also the back side of zone here. So like this part looks the same. There are some changes, but again, this is part of why I don't think defenses can really tell unless you're being a very slow offense and they spend a whole lot of time studying these splits and film breakdown and during the week. And if they're spending a lot of time on that, then they're not spending a lot of time on all the different plays you run, on all the different techniques, on all these other things, on installing new blitzes for you. They just can't do it. So that's a couple of the reasons why I like to do that. I hope you found that helpful. Again, these are called smart splits because we're going to be smart. We're going to use how we know what the play is to our advantage, use how defenses are bound by rules, and we're going to be able to make a better play and be smart about it and put our guys in a position to be successful. But again, I'm Cody Wilson, the assistant coach. I'm here to help and to serve you, be the best coach you can be. Peace.